The fluorescent lights of Silvaline Technologies hummed softly as Olivia adjusted her crisp white blouse, smoothing out an imaginary wrinkle. She glanced across the open-plan office, her gaze lingering on Nathan's desk. He was bent over his computer, the sleeves of his blue Oxford shirt rolled up to his elbows, revealing tanned forearms. Over the months, their working relationship had become a study in restraint. They exchanged late-night emails that were entirely professional, but warmer than necessary. They laughed in meetings at things only the two of them seemed to find funny. They both knew the rules, but rules didn't erase chemistry. It all came to a head during the company's annual conference in Seattle. Silvaline had booked out 2 floors of a downtown hotel. The final night ended with a rooftop reception, warm lights strung over the city skyline, jazz playing low, champagne flowing. Olivia wore a simple emerald dress, nothing flashy, but Nathan noticed her the second she stepped onto the rooftop. Her hair, usually pulled back in a practical ponytail, fell in soft waves around her shoulders. "Nice view," he said, nodding toward the glittering Space Needle in the distance. "It is," she said, but her gaze lingered on him, taking in the way his charcoal suit fit his broad shoulders. For most of the night, they mingled with other colleagues, never staying in one conversation together for too long. But near midnight, when the crowd had thinned, they ended up at the same corner table. "You know," he said, swirling his drink, "if this were a different kind of world, I'd probably ask you to dance." "And if this were a different kind of company," she replied, her voice barely above a whisper, "I'd probably say yes." They didn't dance, but when they said goodnight, his hand brushed hers, and neither of them moved away right away. Back in Boston, things settled into the familiar rhythm again, until the night the power went out. It was a freak October storm, and only a handful of employees had braved the weather to come in. When the lights flickered and then went dark, the building went silent except for the rain hammering the windows. Nathan appeared at her cubicle with a flashlight. "Come on," he said. "We should wait this out in the break room." They sat on the couch, sipping vending machine coffee, the soft glow of the flashlight between them. Olivia had changed into a cozy burgundy sweater that morning, anticipating the chill, while Nathan's usual button-down had been replaced by a casual gray Henley. "Olivia," he said, voice low. She looked up, her heart quickening. "I've tried not to, but I think about you more than I should." Her breath caught. "Nathan, I know. The rules. I needed you to know." She should have said something practical. She should have reminded him they could lose their jobs. Instead, she whispered, "Me too." The air seemed to shift. He didn't move closer, but the space between them felt electric. When the lights came back on, they both stood, straightened their clothes, and went back to their desks without another word. A month later, Nathan got an offer for a promotion, but in the San Francisco office. It was the kind of opportunity people fought for, and when Olivia congratulated him, she kept her voice even. "That's amazing," she said, forcing a smile. She was wearing a bright yellow blouse today, a stark contrast to the somber mood settling over her. He studied her, his own attire more formal than usual, a sign he'd been in important meetings. "Is it?" "Of course it is." They stood in the quiet hallway, and for the first time in a year, there was no one around to see them. No glass walls, no lingering co-workers. "I'm not sure I want to take it," he said. "Why not?" "Because leaving means—" He trailed off, searching her face. "Nathan," she said softly, "you can't make a decision like this because of me." He smiled faintly. "I think I already have." In the end, he took the job. Their last day working together was unremarkable on the surface, just another Friday. Olivia had chosen a navy blazer over a cream-colored top, while Nathan wore a light blue shirt that brought out his eyes. But when the office cleared out and she found herself alone in the conference room packing up files, he stepped in. "I wanted to say goodbye," he said. She turned, and before she could think about the rules, or the risk, or the fact that this moment would have to last them a lifetime, she stepped forward and hugged him. It wasn't brief. It wasn't careful. When they pulled back, there was a look in his eyes she knew she'd never forget. "Take care of yourself, Olivia. You too." And just like that, he was gone. 6 months later, Olivia was walking down a busy San Francisco street during a client visit when she saw him. Nathan. He was across the street, talking to someone, his head thrown back in laughter. He looked different, more relaxed, his suit replaced by dark jeans and a soft-looking sweater that spoke of California casual. She froze. As if sensing her, he turned, and their eyes met across the traffic. The light changed. People moved between them. When the crowd thinned, he was still there, smiling. And in that moment, she realized something. Rules might have kept them apart, but they couldn't erase the truth of what had existed between them. Some connections lived quietly, unspoken, but permanent. She lifted her hand in a small wave. He returned it, and then the city swallowed them both again. Olivia continued down the street, her heels clicking against the pavement. She thought about the months that had passed, about the way her heart still skipped when she saw his name pop up in old email threads. She thought about the company policy that had kept them apart, about the nights she'd lain awake wondering what if. But mostly, she thought about the look in his eyes just now, a look that said maybe, just maybe, their story wasn't over. As she rounded the corner, her phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. "Coffee? There's a place around the corner." Olivia hesitated, her thumb hovering over the screen. The practical part of her brain reminded her of all the reasons this was a bad idea. But another part, the part that had been quietly hoping for this moment for months, made her fingers move. "I'll be there in 5. She found him at a small table by the window, 2 steaming cups already waiting. He stood as she approached, and for a moment, they just looked at each other. "Hi," he said softly. "Hi," she replied, sliding into the seat across from him. There was a beat of silence, and then they both started speaking at once. "I've been thinking, I wanted to tell you." They laughed, some of the tension dissipating. "You first," Nathan said. Olivia took a deep breath. "I've been thinking about us, about the rules, and I've realized sometimes the most important things in life happen beneath the policy." Nathan's eyes softened. "I've missed you, Olivia, more than I thought possible." She reached across the table, her fingers brushing his. "Me too." As they sat there, the busy world of San Francisco moving around them, Olivia felt a sense of possibility unfurling. Maybe their timing had been wrong before. Maybe they needed this time apart to realize what they truly wanted. But now, sitting across from Nathan, his hand warm beneath hers, she knew one thing for certain. Some connections were worth fighting for, no matter what the rulebook said.